the pastor was asked, what are we going to do, Pastor? And he said, we're going to go meet our neighbors. And so they went out, instead of protesting with, signs, they went out and protested the, we're not going to be divided idea. And he said that church is still thriving to this day because they went door to door and just introduced themselves and said who the church was and what was important to them, and that made a big difference in the life of that church, to just be willing to meet our neighbors. And I think although we sometimes think that our, Bozeman is not a, racially diverse area or something like that, the reality is our neighbors are all different from us, right? Like every neighbor is somebody that we could be a bridge to. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, Mickey, sorry, I'm going to step back into the camera so people can see me. Lord help us. Sometimes I think we feel like we've been through the ringer. You guys have been through a long 5 years here, right? It's been a long 5 years. Longtime clergy pastorate, a 2-year interim transition, new clergy who are young, do things different, right? A global pandemic, a United Methodist Church in absolute disarray and completely ineffective. It's been a hard 5 years. And, sorry, Don, I'm not meaning to. It's been a hard 5 years, and yet we're still here, and we're still thriving, and there are more people using this building than before, and there's more life in this building, and good God stuff is happening. So I would invite us not to lose sight in the midst of the challenges ahead. We're not done. We're still here. We're still doing great stuff. But it's easy, and Amy and I struggle with this, and I'll tell you, if you ever want to see it unfold, come to our house at 5 o'clock on a Sunday morning. Because, am I right? It unfolds in, what are we doing? What's happening? Oh my gosh, we forgot this. Oh gosh, what if these people? Who's going to be here? Who's not going to be here? We have all this stuff happening. What do we need to do? It's like an hour of just chaos for between us to get into this moment. And I say that just to say, everyone feels that right now, everywhere. And if we can be faithful people and know that God is still moving and working and we're not done and we will continue to show up, continue to be God's people together, there's a way through this. But that anxiety, that feeling of just, why can we not get traction? Why can we not get going? That's where we are. And we strive to create a worship service where you don't feel that, hopefully. Sometimes it comes out and sometimes it doesn't. But I was just reflecting on this community has been through a lot. And you're not alone in that. There's a lot of communities in turmoil, but we have strong, sure foundation here to carry us through. So that's all I want to say. And unless you're dying to talk about discipleship. Okay.
Really, honey? Now we're done, that I've been talking the whole time. Anyway, good thing that can you imagine having a co-pastor where they weren't married? Wouldn't that just be, it works out well. Anyway, what I wanted to say are just a couple of things about the opportunities that you have this summer, but then also the way that we're going to be structured for leadership. So we wanted you all to have an opportunity to be together. I loved over there when we were drinking coffee and just being together. So please look in the chimes and make sure that you find the times and the opportunities that we have to just be together. So we know that the Spork, the mighty Spork food truck, which is the Fork and Spoon food truck. Get it? The Fork and Spoon food truck is called the mighty Spork. So amazing. I don't know who thought of that, but it's so great. So once in June, once in July, and once in August, the Mighty Sport food truck will be over in the Doc and Nelson parking lot, and we will have an opportunity to support Fork and Spoon and also to be together. In addition to that are planned. And I have been pushing the grill nights with some of our newer folks to our community. We had a family that moved here last weekend, and they have been in church the last 2 Sundays, and they are signed up to go to all of the grill nights so that they can get to know the people of this community. I was picturing people would go to just one, but whatever. So look and see if any of those nights work for you. Some are at BUMC family houses, and some are at the Living Waters people's houses, so that we can kind of start to get to know them. Really, the only purpose is just eating hamburgers and hot dogs and being together in Christian fellowship. The other thing that I wanted to just say is the way that we hope to move discipleship to be organized is going to be very similar to the way that the leadership board now operates. We know that just prior to pandemic, the leadership board condensed to be a group of 12 folks, some that represent trustees, some that represent finance, some that represent personnel. Sometimes they meet separately, sometimes they meet together. The discipleship board will be structured very similarly to that. We'll have 3 teams of folks that will work on different areas of discipleship. So there'll be adult formation, nurture care, and community connections. And in the midst of that, Abby Thompson, who does children and youth in coordination with Ann on the youth side, is very, very passionate about the youth and the children being a part of their programming. And so you could think of it as it's children and youth led and adult supported. And so there's going to be a lot more emphasis on the children and the youth being a part of deciding and carrying out their own programs. So when you look at that, you might say, oh, but there's not an education committee. But there is a children's leadership team and a youth leadership team. So they'll be supported by the adults in their life. And I am looking forward to the ways that they will lead us in a variety of things. We don't have the fall Sunday school program completely put together yet, but one of the things that we've been talking about is having a once-a-month opportunity after worship for the children to lead an experiential lesson about what they have been learning. So they'll take the story that they've learned over the last couple of weeks, and they'll present it some way to all of you and anyone that's willing to participate. And so those will be important times for us to show our support for them. Children and youth continue on in their faith more likely when statistics say 5 people in their church know their name. If 5 people know their name, then they are more likely to stay connected to their faith as an adult. You all are those people that have the ability to do that. So when those opportunities come up, I hope you will take advantage of that. And so that discipleship board, in addition to those 3 committees that I named, Nurture Care, Community Connections, and Adult Formation, we'll also have representatives from the other areas and ministries of our church. So we know Stephen Ministries is an important part of who we are. Missions is an important part of who we are. UMW. We don't have a UMM as such, but we do have a men's group. So there'll be a men's representative. There'll be young people. There'll be representatives from Living Waters, as we know that we are doing more together with them as a parish, which is also a plug to say that when you all see things that are happening at Living Waters, those are for us too. And when we are doing things together, we hope that the Living Waters folks will participate. So for example, our Good Friday service that we had was out at Living Waters. It's not that we didn't have a Good Friday service. Our Good Friday service was outside, and so it's really awesome to use their space. And so those partnerships will continue. And so that board will be a good way for us to lead and plan so that we're doing things together and not in our individual silos. So I was talking to someone about this, and they said, well, like, what about Vacation Bible School? Like, there's not a group of people that are going to help Abby plan Vacation Bible School. And I said, well, she will have her group of adults and youth and children that are going to help with the practicalities of that. But how cool would it be for us to come together as a church who have different lenses of different parts of the church and think about how we could do it collectively? So like Vacation Bible School, say we're going to talk about that, and the nurture care team says, well, how could the older members of our community be a part of Vacation Bible School somehow? Could we bring them in and have a time of sharing or reading? Or adult formation, maybe we should have a parents class during Vacation Bible School so the parents have an opportunity to be together and to talk about their faith. So you can kind of see how all of those areas kind of start to blend together in more of an all church way. I thought of one other thing that I wanted to say when I was talking about something else, and I was like, oh, that would be a perfect way to end, but now it's gone. I know. It'll be like the second I give Eric the mic, I'll think of it.
Any last minute questions you all have? I'm happy to stick around and answer any more questions you want to ask. If you want to know more about something, happy to talk further. Please take an opportunity. There's She does this when we drive. There's a truck 15 miles away.
Okay, so the other thing that will be really cool about those 3 teams that I described is that there will also be the opportunity for what we're calling work teams. And this is actually modeled off of the great and wonderful Dick Pale. So, Dick Pale heads up a team of folks who help us up around the church. Sometimes it ends up that Dick does a lot of it. But in theory, there's a team of people that he can call upon that when there's a project that needs to happen at the church, he has people that can carry that out as a work team. Dick Pale has probably been on every church committee ever imaginable, and he's over it. He doesn't want to be on a committee, but he wants to help, and so he serves on a work team. So each of those teams, Community Connections, Nurture Care, and Adult Formation, will also have work teams that undergird the work that they're doing. So while those teams will be small, they will have as many as 10 to 12 folks that have said, you know, either I've been on a church committee millions of times and I'm done, or I'm kind of new to the church and I'm not sure that I really want to be on a committee and make that big commitment, but I could be on a work team and be available to help to take care of the things that need to happen for ministry to happen. So that will be a good way for folks that are new to plug in to be a part of that. So work teams will be an important part of the way that that discipleship board is all coming together. See, aren't you glad I remembered?
There's chalk outside. If you haven't drawn a note of encouragement, we invite you to do so. As I said, if you have any other questions, happy to visit further. There's also markers, yes, and notes, cards. Thank you. Have a great day. Enjoy lunch. I'm supposed to pray. Gracious God, I give thanks today that ministry is fun, and we have the opportunity to laugh. We have the opportunity to cry. That there is a community here to walk with us and love us, and that it is in this community we are reminded you, oh God, exist. You are present, you are among us, and you will never forsake us. We give thanks for that this day and always in Christ's name. Amen.